pjnet.tv at 9:30 p.m. East Coast time. It is Wednesday night, a special edition. Dale Didway is waiting for us, or he's waiting in the green room with his, he'll have a report on his latest. And we're streaming, we're recording, got a chat room waiting on us. So, tell you what, let's do this. Let's do a countdown to Studio 19, starting now. Well, PJNet is back on the air with the camera working this time. So grateful for Stephanie in our preceding segment. But as you know, Dale Didway, who normally joins us on the first and third Tuesday of the month, well, Dale was a little indisposed, and I honestly would rather him tell you why, because I don't know. What were you doing, Dale?
I was waiting on a pilot to show up at an airport to fly me home. So we were, literally, we were. They kept saying our flight kept getting pushed back, and they were trying to find a pilot to come. So that's what happened.
Airlines are notorious. I'm convinced that they purposefully lie and tell you that it's going to be 10 minutes, and then when 10 minutes, it'll be 10 more minutes. Because if they really told you what they probably already know, that it's going to be an hour and a half, you would make other arrangements. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, I haven't had any issues lately, so I was due one. So it's been a lot of string of on-time flights and everything. So everything's been good up till last night was okay. It just comes with the territory.
Where exactly? Where were you?
We were in Charlotte, trying to get to Columbus.
Oh, well, that's not that far of a drive. 6
no,
hours?
It's not that far of a drive. 6 hours, but that 50-minute flight's a whole lot more appealing.
I get it. Well, Dale, in my rush to get this studio assembled, I forgot to put something on there that is, I think, germane to your life right now, and that would be sports shorts.
Oh,
now,
yeah. Awesome.
It's not that we've never talked about it, but
right, I get it, yeah.
I was just beside myself happy and proud of you because this thing took off. I mean, took off.
Yeah, I've had a good run on it, and it hasn't launched yet, so that's always a good sign that things are, good things may happen. It doesn't always guarantee that, but there's some good indications that a lot of folks are going to like this, and hopefully it does take off. So right now we have good indications, good numbers on it to show that there's some buzz about it, and we're getting a lot of good feedback, and that's the main thing. People are seeing. I had a lady at church tonight said her son reads it every night. We gave her a copy to her son, and I think he's right in the right demo. I think he's 8 or 9, and he said he reads it every night now. So hopefully that'll have an impact, and hopefully they like it. But yeah, it on Amazon for a little while. It was the number one new release, so that was exciting.
How can it be number one new release if you can't order it yet?
Pre-orders.
Really?
Pre-orders, yeah. So that's how they gauge that.
Now, Dale, you're an old pro at book launches and releases and all that. Well,
no,
if you aren't, who is?
I've only done this 4 years. Well, I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. So
yeah, and how many books might that be?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to consider you an expert on this. And you're not a rookie anymore. So your first one is probably got a special place in your heart, and there's emotions that went along with that as your first book. But then you had subsequent releases, and those are fine. But this one was different. This book is different than many of your other books.
Yes, same concept, just for a different audience, and it's for children. So I had to adapt and change my writing a little bit for children. And that's where my friends, Michelle Medlock Adams came in and gave me some pointers, and some other folks who are good children's writers who I look up to, and they gave me some advice and some constructive criticism about some chapters I sent them, and that's why I sent them to them. But I sent the first one to Michelle, and I think it came back. I think she just sent me the portions that she shredded to her shredder, and No, she wasn't. It wasn't that bad. So she said, instead of these words, use these words. These are for kids. So I had to adapt
Mhm.
to that style of thinking and almost write the way I was thinking. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah. So I mean, it wasn't. I caught on to it after the first 50 chapters, and by the time I got to 52, I was done. So I was able to take her advice and some others' advice and apply it. And that's what I teach that in classes. Sometimes put your ego aside and
Mhm.
listen to experts. And so I got my first couple of chapters back, and I thought, wow, did I write anything good about this? No, but she always likes to tear it apart just because it's me. But no, she was very helpful and very encouraging. In fact, she ended up writing the forward for it. And she doesn't. She told me she doesn't write very many forwards to books. So
Mhm.
um, I was honored that she did that because she actually was the inspiration for the title, Sports Shorts. So that was her idea. So she gets, I think, 20% of the royalties because she came up with the title. And then,
She
well, she
needs the
thinks she
money,
does.
Yeah,
Yeah, she does.
she didn't sell any books.
No. So anyway, it was a collaboration and some good input from people. So I always appreciate input and ask for it. And most of the time, take it. Not every time, but
Yeah.
95% of the time, I take advice.
Well, I've been to some of your classes, as not as a student, but as a
Mm-hmm.
videographer, and you do spend some time dwelling on the topic of coachability. And
Mm-hmm.
this is a difficult topic because every writer is very heavily emotionally invested in their work.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they
So
are. And
you
so
found
that's
yourself taking your own advice.
Oh yeah, you have to. You can't. That's one of the biggest things. I mean, my first book that was being published. I mean, when I got the first few edits back, I love this editor and respect this editor, but when we work together, I come as close as hating somebody as you can, and she knows that. So we fight back and forth, but in the end, we love each other because her job is to make my work better. And so like I said, most of the time I would say, okay, that change is fine, that change is fine. But there would be occasionally, if they didn't understand sports writing or sports lingo,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, no, this has to stay this way because people won't understand it. And she said, well, I don't understand it. And I said, that's because you don't know sports. So you're not going to understand this. So in sports writing it doesn't go by all the rules. There's some things that sports writers can get away with
Are you talking
in
about like
sports
a
writing.
jargon, earned run
Yeah,
average,
yeah, you can get away with some of that. You can get away with a lot of editorializing as a sports writer. Whereas in news, you shouldn't editorialize. You're there to report what happened.
Right.
And you can say such and such said in this board meeting, and this is what was passed by this vote, and this is what it means with quotes. Sports writing, you can get away with if you cover a game, you can get away with a little bit of editorializing and give your opinion in there sometimes, and it's a lot more easier done and never questioned. I mean, if Billy, makes a ridiculous play, you can put in there Billy's bonehead play led to the turnover, which resulted in a touchdown, and you can do that and get away with it because everybody's going to say, "Yeah, it was a bonehead play." So, I mean, well, I wouldn't suggest doing that, but you can. I mean, I've done something like that in the past.
There's
So you
latitude.
you can get away with it. Yeah, there's some leeway in sports writing, and you can get away with throwing your opinion in there once in a while, outside of a column.
Yeah.
So,
I I haven't read a whole lot of sports writing, but I have consumed a lot of sports broadcasting, and I found myself
mhm.
last week watching a Muhammad Ali fight uh, being colored by Howard
Howard
Cosell.
Cosell, yeah.
So what is your opinion of Howard Cosell as a sports broadcaster?
Well, as I remember him, with that distinct accent that he had, and he never played anything. He wrote the book.
That's
I never played the game.
There you go.
Yeah, so that was so. I think he had a unique perspective, never playing the game. I don't think you have to be an athlete to have played the game. I mean, I know that's what all the broadcasters, all the NBC, ABCs, and Foxes they want. They want that commentator who's played the game, and I understand it, but that's not always the case. But Howard Cosell was a lot of folks, as I remember, as a kid, you would tune in, and he was just there. He was always there, so I didn't know anybody else. I didn't know of another broadcaster besides Howard Cosell. So it was awesome. You know, he always called the Ali fights. He always did the um, what was the weekend?
Well,
Thrill of victory, agony of defeat. Yeah.
yeah, what I used to look forward to is Monday Night Football. The halftime was always
Dandy Don.
Yeah, and I always enjoyed, but his voice grated on me. I
can see that.
Of course, I'm a little south of you down here, and it
Yeah,
was over
I
the
can
top.
see that. Yeah, that he had a unique accent that it was real nasal sounding,
and his delivery
and
was that of a fight announcer, a boxing announcer almost. He just went too far, in my opinion.
yeah. And so when they did the first Monday Night Football, him and Don Meredith and I think it was Don Meredith. That was a long time ago, but that was back when Monday Night Football was a big deal. Now
Gifford,
now it's nobody really watches Monday Night Football because they moved to ESPN, and nobody really knows who's. It used to be the gig, right? Everybody wanted Monday Night Football. Now in the ratings, Sunday Night Football's taken over that.
Yeah.
Thursday Night Football still squanders a little bit.
Yeah.
So Sunday night's the big night now. I think Al Michaels is retiring though, so who will step in to fill his shoes? Al Michaels is fantastic.
Yeah, Frank Gifford
Fantastic.
and others.
Yeah. So I always liked Al Michaels. He was his rise to prominence came during the World Series out in Oakland when they were San Francisco when they had the big earthquake. That's when he became considered the best in the business because he stayed and kept everybody informed. And I don't know whether you remember that, but the World Series, it was during the game. The quake was during the game, and they had to call off the game, and people were getting hurt and stuff. So he became kind of a household name after that point.
Well, I know that here locally, Gene Deckerhoff, who he's the voice of the Florida State Seminoles, he's also the voice of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah,
and let me tell you, folks, all of them are pretty good. But I assure you that they're pretty good because they have a team of people around them feeding them, statistics and, producers.
It's a machine.
It's they're the front piece, what you see, but there's a lot of layers underneath it. But here's what impressed me about Gene Deckerhoff. I don't remember the circumstances, but this is where the wheat and the tares get separated. There was a rain delay or something like that, and they had to stay with it. And Gene Deckerhoff just kept going and just kept going, where for many people in general, sports broadcasters or otherwise, if you've got a live presentation when unexpected things happen, can you smoothly take those jolts and maintain your delivery? And there are some that can, and there are some that can't. Most are never tested. I was going to ask you a question.
Well,
go ahead with your thought, because I got plenty of time.
I lost it, so go ahead.
Okay. I have read some of your work. I've read First Down Devotions 1 and 2, I believe, and some others, and I've enjoyed the time. But I would have to say, at least from the appearance, 52 stories. I don't think there was 52 stories in the books I've read. Were there?
No. There's a combined 120 in those total books. And there's 4. So I took. We just wanted to make it a little longer. We didn't want to do 40, so we wanted to do a weekly. I didn't have enough to do a daily, so we just went ahead and do 52 and took. One athlete, whereas some of the others, there's a couple of them in each book, but we just did one and split up baseball and football interviews and just made 52 out of it. So we had 26 of each. Yeah.
Just to make note, folks, yes, that is a baseball picture on the cover, but this book is not limited to baseball.
Right. It's MLB and NFL players. The cover, when they had both on, it looked a little busy. Yeah, it looks a little confusing. Yeah. So that's a good looking cover. I like it. People are going to think it's about baseball, but that's
you could have had a football and a baseball, but that's kind of
it was a little. Yeah, it didn't look good.
Yeah.
So we had
you need
some
action.
Look at them.
Yeah, I like a little dirt spraying up. Gets clean.
Yeah, we like
You know,
it.
little dirt on the pants, and things like that. But speaking of baseball, are we?
Yeah, yeah,
Not that I care, but are we going to have
yeah.
baseball or not?
If I knew that answer, I'd be in the front office there. So I don't know that answer. I know, some friends of ours who are supposed to start this week, and they're not. We were texting them earlier this week, and um, you know, Billy Jouse, her husband. So
Oh yeah,
um, he's supposed. I think he started, but he's in Palm Springs or Palm Beach this week. I think spring training, but
yeah,
hasn't started yet. So
yeah. Do you, I was reading Andy Clapp's. He and Michelle have
mhm.
got their new book is out, and his
Yeah,
devotion today had to do with he makes a trip to Florida conveniently
yep,
to visit family.
yeah.
Is the ostensively the reason he's coming, but he makes that visit to family strategically line up with spring training, and he loves spring training.
Yeah, we've made some trips down there. In fact, I went down to Tampa one year to Yankee spring training because I was had an assignment to interview Andy Pettit when Andy still played, obviously, and for the Yankees, and it was for Sports Spectrum. So I took my youngest son. We went to Tampa for the week and just hung out at Yankee spring training all week long, and took in some ball games and got my interviews done, and just had a good time. So a lot of folks turn out to those things. It's a big money maker now. They're cutting the minor league teams way back now, which is going to hurt a lot of cities
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of cities depend on that. That's their big income for the year.
Well, and it's over time, if that persists, it's going to hurt the game.
It'll hurt the game, yeah. Eventually, be less and less talent pool to choose from, and my thoughts is they'll probably be, like some other sports. There's other leagues will pop up and try to compete, and you see that with the PGA. You see that with the XFL a couple of years ago with the NFL, and so you may see something like that, but I don't think it'll ever take it over. Just maybe put a dent in it. But a lot of folks getting fed up with it. They don't. The only thing they don't understand is, why strike when you're getting paid a gazillion dollars to play a game, and that's all the fan sees, and predominantly that's all it is. They do negotiate, because a lot of major league players don't play that long unless they're really really good. They may play like in the NFL. The average lifespan for an NFL running back is about 3.5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and after that, they don't they go back to regular normal life just like you and me. So they're trying to get all they can, I guess, with one shot.
Well,
But they got to
and
try to
I don't know about
take care of
baseball,
the
but
money.
football takes a toll on you in that 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, baseball does too because they're playing, a lot more games they're playing every day, and that can take its toll on you too.
yeah.
There's some weeks a team will play, 4 to 5 games in 7 days, and they're
Mm-hmm.
traveling, and they're there at the park early, and they're there late, and it does take its toll on them. It's baseball's a lot tougher than it looks. It really
I'm
is.
glad you told me.
There's a lot more of this in baseball being used,
I'm
and
glad you told me.
and strategy, and you take something that small and it hits you 95 miles an hour in the arm, man.
Mhm.
That's going to hurt.
It will. It will.
Yeah,
Dell, the book, Sports
Mhm.
Shorts, is
Yeah.
due when? Like the 22nd?
22nd of March was when it officially launches. They can get it now wherever. They can pre-order on all
Yeah.
your major sites and your Amazons and your Barnes and Nobles, Books a Million, Targets, Walmarts, wherever,
All
and
right.
try to pre-order.
So you're taking in all this just basking in the reception that it's gotten even prior to its launch. All right, so how long can you bask in that? How long can you sit on your laurels before it's time to turn the corner and get to work on your next one?
Well, we'll have two of them ready to go. All right, we're ready to submit here March 15th. I have to have two books submitted into our publisher, so and then we're starting another one. So I've never really basked in anything. So you just send it and you start the next one.
I don't
So
know how you do it. You're a machine. You're just
no,
you're a machine.
so we have to have that in March 15th. So I have to have the next two in before this one launches.
Well,
So
maybe now, finally, when these things come out, we can get back to doing book signings and, things,
Yeah. Yeah, we've done a couple of those last couple of weeks with this. Down in North Carolina, we did one, and then somewhere else, I don't even remember. But
I don't know where you've been. I don't know.
so yeah,
I
it's
find
a
it
lot of
interesting
fun.
that you
That's
don't remember either, because I believe that.
Yeah. So yeah, we're getting some of those things lined up for this fall. Hopefully, we may do one down in a little city called Tallahassee. Hopefully, we'll do one down there for the Florida State book.
Yeah.
Be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, it's
And
it's a tradition.
and that's coming along. I mean, I've heard a lot about that. So when the Florida State books come out, we're going to try to do something now that restrictions are lifted finally, that we can get to places. And we're trying to work on Alabama again and get down there. We're going to relaunch those two books at the same time as the Florida State books. So that'll be we're going to redesign some covers on those too. So it's exciting.
I assume you're at least vaguely aware of Renegade
No, what?
with
Renegade,
Florida
what,
State.
the movie?
No,
Oh yeah.
that is quite the tradition, and it has
Yeah.
turned into an enterprise of its very own. So I would drop the hint,
Yeah.
if you're going to do something about Florida State, that started out as just Bobby Bowden was known for trying anything when he first got
Yeah.
to town. He just wanted people to get interested in Florida State football, and he tried some really dumb things. But you got to remember, when he got here, they were trying to sell tickets door to door to Florida. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. I can remember getting student tickets, okay, for get this, $12 a year. And you just got them. And then when I was graduating, we used to have little parties down at the stadium and stay all night, and just to when the box office opened, we could get our tickets. It was quite a turnaround.
Of course, one of the co-authors is Bethany Jett, and she went there to Florida State, so she's really emotionally involved in this book, and that's one thing we try to tell authors not to do, is be emotionally involved. But she is, and that's great. I'm not going to tell her anything.
Right.
So we're excited about some stuff she's writing. So we're putting it all together, and it'll be a fun book. So we're trying to line up something later this fall, and we can maybe have PJ and Ed over and do a live broadcast or something.
So how emotionally involved were you in Buckeye Believer?
Oh,
not at all, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun doing that one. I really liked that because I enjoy the research. Like this Florida State book, I'm enjoying all the research and reading about all the players who were arrested. And no, I'm kidding. So I'm enjoying all the This should have been like a jail ministry book, but no, I'm kidding on that. So they had their bad spell like every school does. I mean, Ohio State had the tattoo gauge and everything like that. So every school goes through a black eye. But I enjoy the research. I've learned a lot about some of the history of Florida State, some of the games and moments I've been looking at. They're not always the best moments. There's a couple of moments I wrote about where the Indians not what they want, but I just take a certain play or a player or a moment, and it's been a lot of fun. So I just wrote one the other night about the Auburn and Florida State game. It was really really cool, kind of cool.
Yeah.
So.
How about the punt Rooski? Is it going to find its way in there?
I believe I saw Bethany going to do that one. So she took all the good ones. And I had to scrounge for some of the more obscure moments, but I was able to find a few. She took all the good moments in. It's kind of like the Indiana book with Michelle. She took all the great moments, and I had to do the chair throw, things like that. So.
Well, that's the one that is most notoriety. Well, in all seriousness,
yeah.
Has there?
I took that moment. I love Bobby Knight. I wish we had more coaches like that, who was a man and treated his players like a coach, not as a buddy, and wanted them to be a man of integrity instead of just hitting that shot and acting like an idiot, dancing around and doing cartwheels and stuff. He was a man's coach, and if people didn't like that, then there was something wrong with them. But I took that moment where he threw the chair, obviously not his greatest moment in life, but I turned it into a positive. And you have to read that book to figure that out, because Michelle, we were nervous. She was nervous because she's Indiana gal. That was her. She knows Bob Knight and knows the family. And she's like, oh, dear. Because I told her I was going to do that. She goes, do you really want to put that in the book? I said, well, yeah.
You
It's an
can't leave it
iconic
out.
moment.
You can't leave it out.
And I took that and made that moment a positive motivational chapter. I was throwing the chair. Yeah. So you have to get and read it. It's the final chapter.
I wonder, you've covered a lot of sport. You've been around sports all your life.
Yeah.
Do you know of any turnaround as significant as Bobby Bowden?
Oh, no, not at all. You can't compare that. No.
Not even close. I'm trying to think, a lot of coaches did well, but that's a statistic that just no one keeps track of. But I mean, I think I remember reading somewhere, and I could be wrong on this, but they had won like 4 games in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, he took a team that nobody even knew existed, and then like who's Florida State, and took them to prominence. And so, I mean, Coach K with Duke, but not as quickly. I mean, it took him because Duke was when he took over was terrible, and it took him a while to be a powerhouse. But yeah.
Well, Bobby Bowden started at Jackson State. He was the football coach, the basketball coach, the baseball coach, the janitor probably too. I don't know. Of
course, Deion Sanders is there now at Jackson State. So
don't call him Deion at a press conference.
No, issue never. I love that. I love the way he responded to that. And that was justified.
I think it was.
I told we don't. I've been in numerous press conferences where they call it. If they don't even say the name, they say coach.
Right, you just say coach, but you don't say Dell.
Yeah, I mean, who would you want to see what happened if somebody said, "Hey, Nick, you want to answer this question?"
That was his answer.
He would pick up the podium and throw him at him, something like that. So, yeah, it's just a matter. Of course, everybody knew him as prime, and I get that, but you got to. They didn't respect him as a coach. Obviously, if they ask him that, I would never. When I had the chance to. Ask a question to Bill Clinton when he was sitting president at the time. I didn't like the guy. I didn't like his policies. I take him now for what the doofus we have in there now is. But I called him Mr. President.
Of course.
Today I couldn't say that right now if JB was in the room. I could not call him Mr. President. I just couldn't. I would vomit on his shoes. So
choke on your words.
Because he's not a president. He's a horrible disgrace. But anyway, I think Bobby Bowden's turnaround was extraordinary. I think the one other comparable to that, but when the Celtics in their dynasty years, when Russell played and Red Auerbach and Cousy and those guys, and they went through a horrible decline back in the 70s. And then when Casey Jones was the coach and Bird came in, they went from last to first. Mm-hmm. That was the dramatic turnaround. But that, I don't think that still compares. I mean, the Celtics went from last place to the first place in the next season. The next season won the title. So, but no, the Florida State turnaround is historic. It's historic. And in pro, you can recruit in. Yeah.
Well, and the draft system is made to kind of, keep it in churn.
Yeah, it is. So.
Which it needs.
But Bowden really, he turned that thing around just like a light switch. Yeah. I mean, just flipped. It was better. So
and success breeds success. It's funny because losing is the same way. Once you start losing, you can't get the recruits anymore. But once you start winning, nothing succeeds better than success. I mean.
A coach can go out and slash tires and rob stores, but by golly, if he's winning ball games, let's keep him. And I mean, Rick Pitino is a great example of that. He wins titles, has some things go wrong. Hey, it's okay. He's bringing us national championships here. So winning has a way of people forget a lot of things when you win.
Well, and my coach used to say he liked I'll just use the word smart aleck. That's not the word he used, but he says, because if you're a smart aleck, you have to get results to justify.
Yeah.
So he gave some latitude for being a smart aleck, but a lot of that was with regard to academics. He would, Anyway, all right. Well, Dale,
Yeah,
it's
all
10
right.
o'clock here.
Well, I know we went long. So thanks for everybody for being out there and listening. Hopefully I will have probably some news next time of probably the coolest thing I'll ever do. And I've done some really cool things in my life, but probably this will take the cake. And
Well,
I was hoping to have an answer tonight, but I'll find out tomorrow. But it'll be the
all right. Well,
coolest thing I've ever done.
and we'll be back to Tuesday night in about 2 weeks.
Yep.
2 weeks from
Yep.
last night. So, all right. Well, that's a good teaser, Dell. We can't wait to find out the coolest thing that you've ever done. Of all the cool things you've done, it's
Yeah,
hard for
this
me
will be
to
nice.
imagine. So,
This
all
will,
right.
this will be the top of the cake. So
All right. You're a good man, Dell. Thanks for sharing with us tonight.
thanks.
All right. The coolest man in the world, Dell Didway, here on pjnet.tv twice a month, of normally the first Tuesday, and the third Tuesday of each month. And that'll kind of wrap it up for us tonight. It's been a great chat with Dell, and a wonderful visit from Stephanie Pavlantos early on. Gosh, we got a good thing here. And you know what makes it even better? Is you. I just love my PJNet family. Thank you, all of you that join in the pjnet.tv chat room. I always, when we get off the air, I go through those and read them. And but we'll be back tomorrow night, and we look forward to seeing you then. Until then, ask yourself these two questions. What is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And once you got that one, figure this one out. How long ago was that? See, the challenge is to not be satisfied with either answer.